Hi, this is Lori from Shoo Shoo Paper Art, and I'm going to show how to make this unicorn. Of course, it doesn't have to be a unicorn. Pull tab, slide out card. Isn't that adorable? I just love it. All right, so it's actually much easier to make than I thought it would be. So let's get started first with the pretty watercolor. Let me pull all my stuff in here. I started with 140-pound watercolor paper. And of course I have to have my glasses. I can't see anything anymore. And I'm using the Prima Pastel Dreams little watercolor set. And some water. I cut the watercolor paper with, this is Blueprints 27 from MFT Stamps, and I used the biggest frame, and it's a little tiny scallop. You don't have to have that to make this card. It could be just a plain rectangle. It does not have to be scalloped. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just wet the whole entire piece of watercolor paper. And I'm just going to kind of saturate it. And when I get that done, we'll start adding some color. I'm starting with a Sea Dream. It's this kind of light greenish, bluish color there. And I'm just going to start dropping in color. I'm still using quite a bit of water. Excuse me. And then I'm just going to start dropping it in. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is add, let's see, what's it called? Lilac Rain, this purpley color here. Some lemonade, which is this light pink up here. Also want to put in a little bit of yellow. It's called Bumblebee. Some more of the Sea Dream. This is just, again, just dropping in color, not really worrying about where or how much. Just kind of what I like. I'm just having fun with it. The next thing I want to do is use my heat tool. Just kind of dry this out. Color to be a little bit darker, or if you want to go in and say adds a little bit more purple, you can do that by just wetting it again and adding in more color. Just do it until you're happy. All right, so that's all that is to the watercolor portion. So let's move on to how to make the card. To start the card, you're going to take the watercolor panel and you need to have a strip cut in it. I used one of the stitched sentiment strips dies from MFT Stamps. You could just cut a rectangle. You don't have to have a die. I just thought this worked really well. One thing you'll want to do is make sure that it is even. On one of the first ones I made, I kind of eyeballed it, and then when I ran the die through, I kind of looked at it and thought, oh, I don't think this is quite straight. And so I kind of wasted a watercolor panel. Maybe I can cut something from it later. But anyway, so make sure that it's even from the top before you do it, and you can even hold it in place with a post-it note or some washi tape or something. So when you cut it out, you'll have this strip, and you'll want to go ahead and decorate it. So after you've cut your strip out, go ahead and decorate the front of the card however you want it. I added some clouds and some of the other stamps from, let's see, what is it called? The Magical Unicorns Stamps and Dies from Pink and Maine. They are absolutely adorable, I have to say. I'm really in love with these. So go ahead and do your decorating to your card, and then you'll be ready to move on. Okay, so I'm going to set this strip here. I'm going to need it here in just a minute. On the back of the watercolor panel, I have started adding my foam tape. This is 3 layers of foam tape, depending on how thick yours is. This is not that thick, so I did 3 layers. And this one, I didn't want it to hang off the end, and I didn't want it to show. So what I've done with that is cut a strip off. I have this big, huge roll here. Yes, it's huge. And then I just used my scissors to cut it in half. After I have it cut in half, I'm going to add it to this strip here by peeling this top strip off and sticking this piece on. Now, after I have done the 3 sides, now this is the side that it's going to pull from, so there's no foam tape there, just on the other 3 sides. I needed to figure out the size of the pull-out part, the part that the tab pulls and this part moves. Okay, and it has to fit within the space here. So I cut another piece of watercolor paper to fit in that slot. And for this particular card, it was about 3 3/8 by 4. And I noticed that it's just a little bit snug. So it might be a good idea to go ahead and trim just a little bit of that off so that it runs a little bit smoother in there. So let me go do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I cut just a little bit off the length so that it would pull and slide a lot easier. And now I need to go back to this little strip that I cut out of the front of the watercolor panel. On the back, I'm going to put a little bit of score tape, just a strip here. And I'm going to go ahead and peel off the backing, making sure that this stays in place, making sure that that pull-out panel stays in place. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to slip this little piece into the slot, the original slot, and then just press it down so that it's actually now on the pull-out part of the card. Okay? All right, so the next thing we're going to do is attach the unicorn. Now the unicorn is actually attached to the pull-out piece, and it is what keeps the pull-out piece from coming all the way out. It stops there, right there with the unicorn, so it can't go any further. So the unicorn needs to be attached to the pull-out piece, right? So I have gone ahead and colored and cut out another unicorn. It comes with these very cool, or not doesn't come with, they're separate of course, these really cool hot pink dies. How fun is that? All right, so this is my magical unicorn, and he needs to go on right here onto this piece of the pull-out. Now, I just made a small stack. I think this is 4 pieces of cardstock, small enough that it's going to fit right here on the strip, but and also small enough that I can put my unicorn on there and it won't show. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So once you have that glued on there, you can see how when you pull it, it stops. That's the magic little stop there. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take care of the back portion of the card. So let me just show you that here on the original one. When I pull the tab out, it's got a fun little place to sign and write a little note. And I used one of the cute little unicorns there on the back. And you can see that the back is just a plain piece of watercolor panel. I didn't watercolor it, I just left it plain. All right, but the important thing on that back panel is when you pull this out, it's got a little note there. So you have to stamp that in the right place. So let's talk about that. Okay, so let's line up the back panel. I'm going to go ahead and pull this middle piece out and line up the two panels, the front and the back. Whoops, I'm not doing a very good job here. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to use a pencil to mark where I'm going to put the stamping on that back panel. So that I can see where I need to stamp. And the stamps that I used for that inside portion, they are a Lawn Fawn stamp, the Flirty Frames. And that's also what I used for the back side of the pull tab, one of the Flirty Frames. So once the stamping's done, we can go ahead and put on the back panel. And to do that, we're simply going to peel off the foam tape and put it on. Okay, before I stick the back on, I'm going to go ahead and erase those pencil marks. Just don't want to take any chance that they might show. So we've done everything except for the little tab. So let's do that. The tab is nothing but a piece of ribbon folded over and glued on. Okay, let me just show you on this. This will be faster. Okay, so you can see the piece of ribbon that's glued on. And then I have a heart and a little pull tag that I just printed off the computer and cut. I actually used a needle and thread through the top layer of the ribbon to make sure that that pull and ribbon and twine are going to stay on. Because if this is pulled, I want to make sure that, you know, this whole portion isn't just yanked off, and that might happen if it was just glued on. So I think, you know, having a few stitches taken in that really helps a lot. So I would recommend that you go ahead and put the tab on probably before we put the back on, because sometimes it's kind of hard to pull out without the tab. Okay, so that is really all there is to it, and I hope that seems much easier than what you thought it was going to be, because I know when I sat down and tried to figure it out, I thought, oh no, this is going to be so hard, but it really wasn't, and it was a lot of fun. So I hope that you make a pull tab slide out fun card of your own. Thank you for joining me, and remember, you can always find me at shushupaperart.com.